We begin the event with an inauguration, of course, and we are very, very privileged to have Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar here with us today, who will inaugurate the event formally. So I will read out Dr. Kiran Kumar's bio, which is not a very short bio. So I just had a Wix thing so that I can last through this, because he is one of those people who I would call is a very humble overachiever. Right. From what I have known of him in the last few months, that is what summarizes this, but I will read this out for completeness. Okay. So Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar is Vikram Sarabhai Professor at ISRO, which for the young people is Indian Space Research Organization, right, Bangalore, and member of the Space Commission, Government of India. During 2015 to 2018, he has served as Secretary, Department of Space, and Chairman ISRO. Okay. Shri Kiran Kumar was born, I'll skip the date, in Hassan, Karnataka, and holds an MSc degree in Physics, Electronics from Bangalore University, and MTech degree in Physical Engineering from IISc Bangalore. He has steered the implementation of the applications-oriented Indian space program, which has facilitated rapid development of the country in many important spheres of Earth observation, communication, navigation, meteorology, and space science, as well as the development of indigenous launch vehicles and related technologies for providing assured access to space. He has led design and development of more than 50 electro-optical imaging sensors flown on various spaceborne platforms, starting from Bhaskara in 1979. And in fact, I'm sure 90% of the audience was not born at that time, right? So that is why this is such a huge honor. Further, his role in the success of Chandrayaan-1 mission and Mars Orbiter mission has been significant. Shri Kiran Kumar has been the chair of the Committee on Earth Observation Satellites, CEOS, in 2012. He has made valuable contributions to Coordination Group of Meteorological Satellites, CGMS, Expert Team on Satellite Systems, World Meteorological Organization, ETSAT of WMO, and Indo-US Joint Working Group on Civil Space Cooperation. Shri Kiran Kumar is the President, Aeronautical Society of India, and Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering, National Academy of Sciences India, Indian Society of Remote Sensing, Institution of Electronics and Telecommunications Engineers, Indian Society of Systems for Science and Engineering, Indian Meteorological Society, Indian Society of Geomatics, Gujarat Science Academy, Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences, and an elected member of International Academy of Astronautics. He has been conferred with honoris causa and DSc by 18 Indian academic institutions. He has co-authored 85 publications in various national and international scientific journals, conferences, and symposiums. Unfortunately, he doesn't qualify to co-author a paper in this one. He's just not the right gender for this one, yes? But then I think it's not a problem, right? In recognition, now I go on to the huge list of, awards and recognitions. In recognition of his contributions, he was conferred the Padma Shri by the President of India in 2014. Other notable honors conferred on him include Rajyotsava Award for 2015, Shri M. Vishweshwarya Senior Scientist State Award for 2013 by Government of Karnataka, Lifetime Achievement Award from Karnataka Science and Technology Academy in 2016, IISc Distinguished Alumnus Award for 2015, Gujarat Ratna Life for Innovation Award conferred by Gujarat Innovation Society in 2014, Lifetime Achievement Award by Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences in 2016, Bharat Ratna Sir M. Vishweshwarya Centenary Award by University of Mysore in 2016, GM Modi Science Award in 2016, H.K. Firodia Vigyan Ratna Award in 2017, Santokba Award instituted by SRKKF Surat in 2018, and ISRO Lifetime Achievement Award 2018. He has been conferred with the prestigious 2018 International von Karman Wings Award, instituted by the Aerospace Historical Society, together with the Graduate Aerospace Laboratories at the California Institute of Technology in 2018. and the highest civilian honor by the government of France in 2019. So I have made it, and so I mean, just reading all this out, just makes me realize once again what a privilege we have that he has actually agreed to inaugurate this workshop, this conference for us. He is, of course, the chairperson of the RRI Council. We have a council which has very, very senior dignitaries, and he is the chairperson of the same. And so, with that, I welcome Shri Kiran Kumar to give his inaugural speech. Please.
Good evening to all of you. I'm not hearing any good evening. Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction, and it's been indeed a very, I should say, a privilege to be part of this event where Raman Institute is organizing a two-day event of bringing together. Welcome to Dr. Rupmanjari. Thank you. It's indeed a privilege to be part of this program and take this opportunity to talk to you about not only what India has done in space, and also look at how, for example, India is trying to move ahead and what is in store and how we should deal with the issues that are cropping up and that is coming. Probably I'll start with ISRO itself in the beginning, so then I'll change over the thing. Probably all of you are quite familiar how ISRO started and where it is heading today. Way back in 57, the first object went into space when Russia and America were competing with each other to demonstrate who is more powerful or who is more capable. So at that time, while Russians quickly went on to put the first man, first woman, and first many things, Americans were looking, we are left behind, so they started putting their program for moon, and they went and landed on the moon. But we had in our country a great visionary scientist, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who was looking at how can we make use of this technology of space. Today we are all quite familiar how technology is very disruptive and how new things change things. So at that point in time, the ability to go into space and from space look at what is happening on Earth and look at what is happening beyond Earth was a disruptive technology. And how this disruptive technology can be used for the benefit of our country. 1947 is when we had got our independence. 57 is just 10 years after that. We were having huge problems of hunger, problems, solving so many issues. So at that time, this scientist was looking at how can we make use of this disruptive technology and enable the country to make rapid strides. And he was aware that communication, if done from a geostationary platform, Dr. Clark had shown that 1/3 of the globe you can cover from a geostationary platform and you can do line of sight communication. And for a country like India, where one of the tasks was to link the entire country and bring in ability to communicate with each other. And if at that point of time, the technology that was available was microwave towers, every 1 kilometer you put one tower and link. And at that point of time, only in the 70s, mid 70s, when the first experiment of India was conducted, the only 4 metros had the broadcasting or receiving television capability. So what Dr. Sarabhai did is, he convinced his friends across the globe and showed to them that we have a unique place in Trivandrum, geomagnetic equator, and if we conduct upper atmospheric research there, the entire scientific community will benefit. So he was able to bring in sounding rockets in the form of kits, got it assembled in a dilapidated church there. And this is also another story which I am quite fond of telling because it showcases to you how things happen. So he had to convince the fishermen in that region. And for convincing the fishermen, he had to take the help of the priest of that church, and then showcased and told the fishermen, if you vacate this place and allow us to conduct these experiments, one day in future, the country will benefit. And what happened subsequently is from 1999 onwards, we have been able to provide to the fishermen. We have a 7,500 kilometer long coastline, and millions of fishermen on for their daily livelihood, they depend on going to the ocean, catching the fish. So we were able to provide from the satellite observation, looking at the color of the ocean in different spectral bands, identifying the chlorophyll, through that the food chain of the fish, and then tell where in the ocean, if you go, you can catch the fish. To this capability, and of course in 99 in Hyderabad, there was a place called Indian National Center for Ocean Information Systems. And through them, the messages were being given through pager or electronic signboards of the Fishermen's Association. But later, now when we brought in our navigation satellites, which again is a very unique capability, unlike GPS or Galileo, GLONASS or BEDO of China, America, Russia or Europe, we came up with only a 7 satellite constellation for providing beyond Indian boundaries up to 1500 kilometers an ability to locate yourself with a small handheld gadget. So today what is being done is a small gadget which is battery operated can be fitted to the boat of the fisherman, and then this communicates with a mobile in the hands of the fisherman. The mobile need not have any connectivity to the terrestrial tower. This communicates with the gadget with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and then through Navic it locates itself, and then through whatever prospective fishing zone, latitude, longitude information which we are giving out as a messaging capability in the Navic is picked up by this gadget, and the mobile in the hands of the fisherman has an app through which he is shown where to go for fishing in a video compass mode, and he is given alert about the weather vagaries that could occur in the coming days, or even if sea state roughness is going to be unbearable, or if he is crossing the international boundaries. You would have been seeing that some fishermen is caught by our neighboring countries because they have crossed the boundaries. So all this alert comes to him in his mother tongue. So now you can see that space technology is providing to the fisherman who does not know reading or writing, taking advantage of the most advanced technology of rockets, sending satellites into space, and through application instruments, providing a solution to the livelihood. In fact, this act of providing the prospective fishing zone information to the fishermen itself saves to the country between 15 to 20,000 crores a year, because petrol and diesel that a fisherman spends in reaching the place is reduced, his search time is reduced. So this is one of the key things that happened. But much before that, what Dr. Sarabhai had envisioned was bringing in communication across the country. So he had again convinced the Americans that one of the most advanced technology satellites they were building at that time was to be borrowed and brought over the Indian longitude. And for 1 year in 1975, India conducted the world's first largest socio-technological experiment, where in about 2,400 villages in our country, in the 6 backward states, using some technology which you are all familiar today. When you see in your TV at home with a small set-top box and a small antenna, what was done in 1975 was using a half a rack worth of equipment which was built in the country and a 10-foot diameter chicken mesh antenna, and all of this set up in the remote villages, and the satellite borrowed from Americans, and the experiment conducted was the first of its kind in the world, and which demonstrated to the powers that be that whenever they speak, it can reach to the entire country. So obviously you can easily visualize, if you go and tell a politician what you are talking can be heard across the country, that too in the 70s, you don't require much more of a convincing of how this technology is going to go. But real issue was, if we were to use the alternate technology at that time, every 1 kilometer you put a microwave tower and reach for 3.25 million square kilometers of India, both the amount of money, time, effort would have been enormous. So space technology was the solution. Similarly, if you look at in the super cyclones when they used to come in the earlier decades, we had loss of life in tens of thousands. But today, with the satellite based observation, today we have every 15 minutes we can look at what is happening around India and the subcontinent in different wavelengths from optical to microwave. Using all this, it's possible to predict where the cyclone will hit which portion of the coastal region with an accuracy of, in terms of location, better than 20 kilometers and time error of half an hour. This could be done days in advance so that disaster relief agencies are able to evacuate the people and save lives. So you can see that the space technology which was done, which Dr. Sarabhai brought in the 70s, etc., was primarily meant for enabling communication to be done across the country. And then here again, if you were to listen to, probably if you talk to some of the elders, how they were communicating with each other in those days, they had to go to a central telegraph office, wait for a person to person call. If you are lucky that day, the connection will go through and you would be able to communicate. Today you have a small gadget in your hand. You can see what's happening across the globe at this instant. So all these technological changes came about because of the space system where the satellites are linking, and not only you are able to see what's happening on Earth from the satellite, and also you can see from the satellite in celestial events, etc. Today, India has also got a capability, probably some of you are familiar. We have a satellite called AstroSat, which carries one of the telescopes, which provides in far ultraviolet region a capability which is better than any other telescope operating in that wavelength region. It is 3 times better than in terms of angular resolution, and sensitivity is quite high. So the Indian researchers have got virgin data ahead of others and have been able to come out with some findings on that. So basically what I was trying to tell is, starting from the early 70s, in fact 63 was when the first sounding rocket went up to space from India, and that was a kit form brought in from US and Germany. Just recently you saw that India is changing gears. While we built all these capabilities, we have cryogenic engine of our own, we have a polar satellite launch vehicle, which not only launched our satellite, but also 104 satellites in one go when it launched. It was a world record. Today, of course, it has been broken by Elon Musk, who put 137 satellites. We have our own geostationary satellite launch vehicle, GSLV, etc. But while we built all this capability, world is moving ahead. Nobody is waiting. So more and more private enterprise is getting into the space business. Today, unlike in the earlier era, it is no longer the domain of only the nation states to conduct space activity. Private enterprise is moving into space, which is the fourth frontier, and it has moved ahead where man earlier conquered land, ocean, airspace. Now he is ready to conquer space itself. So you are seeing space tourism, space adventure, space habitation, and space for even dominating power, or space for military. So all these things are happening with more and more private entities getting into the business. They are putting the money, and wherever they are seeing the advantage, they are developing. Today we are talking about space as a $1 trillion economy. If India, which is among the few countries in the world which has a space capability of building launch vehicles, satellites, application, should it remain confined to only the government operated system? And also the government has a problem. See, once we realize the capability, it is what is needed is capacity. in the country. So we had reached about 50 satellites providing the various functions of communication, broadcasting, navigation, Earth observation, etc. But for a country like ours, with the kind of neighbors we have, we need probably 200 plus satellites if you compare with corresponding other countries. So if you have to increase this capacity, the government does not have the necessary funds to, because of various priorities. So the best way is be a part of the $1 trillion economy, let the country participate, more and more private entities participate in that, and then not only earn their livelihood, increase the capacity in the country, but also become an appropriate big player in the Committee of Nations as the things develop. So that's how you are seeing. Just few weeks back, you saw one of the Skyroot. They launched a miniature, like what was done in '63, a sounding rocket. Something very similar to that they did on 18th of last month. So this is an indication that private entities have started building their own system. That company is planning to put their own launcher in the next year. Similarly, there is another company called Agnicool, which has done a 3D printed actually semi-cryo engine, and in fact ISRO has not yet done a 3D printed engine, but they have already done that. So there is tremendous opportunity in the private enterprise. In fact, that company has been given space for building their own launch facility in Sriharikota. So things are moving. More and more private entities are getting into the business, and they're looking at providing various opportunities. And human space program, which the government has mandated, probably it would have moved much ahead if not for COVID. But then today we are working on that, and then very shortly you will have astronauts from this country going to space and coming back. And as the time progresses, it is not a one-time event, it's a long-term activity of humans getting into space station, etc. So in all this, there is a tremendous opportunity for scientific activity and research activity. But then if this has to happen more and more, the government is trying to bring in new laws and new legislation, regulatory mechanisms to allow people to participate. And the ISRO as an organization also is trying to make these changes and move ahead. Another very important aspect that we need to also see is, while this technology is moving ahead at rapid pace, what is happening within the country. In some ways, I believe that in the first industrial revolution period, probably as you are all familiar, we were deprived of the opportunity to showcase the capacity that we had, etc. All the raw material from this country, whether it is the cotton or iron ore, etc., they all were taken from here. The finished products were brought back, and we were exploited again in that manner. So, but today, is the situation any different? I don't know how many of you will agree with this, but what I say is it is not very different. Only thing is the manner in which it is happening and the level at which it's happening is very different. It's no longer the physical raw material that is going out. It is the intellectual capability of the individual which is being exploited. And those who are setting up the infrastructure are making use of it and converting not only us, but people across the globe into targeted consumers. So I'm sure each one of you have experienced with the kind of gadgets that you are holding in your hand, how this is being used for converting all of us into targeted consumers to the extent, and the technology has moved so fast that the amount of information that is getting collected from all this is being used with MI, or the machine learning, artificial intelligence has gone to such an extent. Probably some of you would have seen just few days back, there was an advertisement in the paper in Bangalore. There is a company which is giving the parents an opportunity to monitor their children, saying that it's charging 160 rupees per month or about 1500 rupees per year. It is saying that based on the mechanism, what they have got, AI mechanism, any changes that are taking place which could lead to any psychological other kinds of things can be picked up ahead of their own interaction or even before the person comes to know. In fact, maybe this is of interest. See, I had an opportunity to talk to one of the Denmark's technology ambassador. Denmark is the first country to set up a technology ambassador. This lady lives in America, California. One of her tasks is to see how the technology is changing and what government should do, what is the impact of technology on society, etc. So while this topic of how these devices are actually making use of the information they are collecting and how they are converting us into targeted advertisements, consumers, etc. What she told was, she says, the situation has reached a level where a pregnant woman, before she knows she has become pregnant, these gadgets are advertising to her what is needed. And now how it is happening, if you really see, what is said is, see, while we speak, probably you are all familiar, psychologists, when you talk, they pose some questions, and through those questions, they can make glean from you about your behavior, the understanding of the individual, etc. But even when we talk to psychologists or doctors, we are guarded. We don't tell everything what they ask. So much of it, but today, with the kind of gadgets we have in hand, the way we use it, whether it's in WhatsApp or Twitter or these, we have so many friends, we are freely communicating with each other without any inhibition. Now, all this information which shows how the hormonal changes in a human body, not only both male and female, whatever hormonal changes are there, they manifest in voice changes and so many other ways in which it comes out. So these today, the advantage of collecting this data in millions and millions and using AI, there's become earlier, for example, if you are talking about a doctor or a psychologist, the number of cases they would have handled by their own physical experience, plus what they would have learned through reading, maybe you can count in hundreds, thousands, or at the most 10,000. But today you are talking about millions and millions of samples. And obviously what kind of matching you can do with AI is unimaginable. Now the point I was trying to just make is, today the world is going through a phase where there are entities who have access to this kind of information, and using the intellectual capability of people across the globe, they are converting human beings into various, and very soon you also would have been hearing that implanted devices are there. Implanted devices are meant to help us survive better. See, if I have a particular problem, maybe that gadget will help overcome that. But in the name of that implanted devices, what can happen in future is a thing probably you need to worry about. And one good thing about what has happened in India, I want to give two examples. If you look at how India dealt with COVID and how India is dealing with digitalization, is where there is hope according to the way I see things. In COVID itself, unlike any other country, what India did in not only enabling its own citizens to cope up with the problem, but also the manner in which it helped other places is very different. And here it's where the true, you can say, the value system of this land comes out. In the same way, if you look at digitalization, today what India has done with fintech is giving an opportunity to come out of the clutches of maybe these credit cards and other kinds of system, not only within India, but also many other countries are now adopting this. So these have gone outside the so-called other controlling companies, etc. So in the same way, if we are able to bring awareness to people to this land, I'm sure people will find solutions to these kinds of manipulations that could happen, and which could happen in such large scale, because access to individuals is available through gadgets. Okay, maybe that's just a point I just wanted to touch upon on this. So today, one of the things that what is happening as part of this conference itself, if you are looking at, is an extremely, I would say, an encouraging thing, because while we grew up, for example, even within ISRO is among the few organizations in the country which have a larger percentage of women working and then reaching higher levels, etc. One of the things that we have tried to see during the course of this is where there is no distinction made purely based on the capability of the individual without distinction. If you allow, then it grows. And to me, my own experience in ISRO has been that the way they are able to grow and come up to positions was because there was no specific distinction in that sense. If a person has a capability, a male or female, she should be able to do the thing. That was, but not everywhere, or even if you probably ask some people, you might get other opinion, but by and large, what I'm saying is what holds in our organization. And about 28 to 30% of women are there in the scientific and technical areas. And you also have seen those growing up to project directors and even small unit directors, etc., have come there. So one of the things that is there is, while probably maybe in many ways you yourself constrain where you want to reach. This is true not only for women but for every human being, according to me. We are the limiters of our action. So it's many times we start thinking that this is the limit I can go, or I start thinking about what another person would say about what I am doing. That becomes more of a constraint than what the other person is actually thinking. It's only our perception of what is happening. Maybe there is an opportunity there to think differently and move ahead, not allow many of the constraints, what you see or what you are likely to hear, restrict you. And definitely you will be able to go to places or achieve things. In fact, while I was mentioning one of the books probably where Dr. Ruth Manjari also has talked to that, I think this one of the persons from Doordarshan who keeps conducting interviews, scientifically yours. There is a book which has been brought out, and also video conversation of achievers, lady achievers in the country. And they have been asked many questions and they have shared their own experiences. And it's an interesting book, and also videos are available of that, would be of interest. So maybe I can keep talking. I don't think I should do anything more than what I have already said. A few things is science and technology, the pace at which it is changing is so enormous that what we need to do is not only what we are capable of doing, but beyond that, how can we make our next generation aware of that, and how can we actually trigger in them the whatever you can say spark that is there, and make the individual grow. And this land definitely, because of the value system what it has and what it has retained in spite of years of subjugation, and many of the problems we are facing is also because of those constraints that have happened. But now there is an opportunity, things are changing, so all of you have a tremendous scope for making things happen differently from what we have done, because while we grew up also there were much more constraints than what you are facing, but then challenges are very different. What challenges we faced is far different from what challenges you are going to face, but then change is the essence of life. Everybody faces different challenges. If everything were to be as per prescription, probably many, like what you are seeing, tuition institutions would have shown how we can succeed. If that is not happening, it is because challenges keep changing. And it's only when you make up your mind that you will take up that challenge and go ahead can you make a difference to the society? So wish you all 2 days of great interaction and learning experience, and then wish you all a great future and take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kiran Kumar, for this very, very inspiring and, very, I'm sure it has had a very large impact on the gathered audience. And, we will have more people join us by tonight and they can catch up on, now we have technology, so everything is recorded on YouTube. So I'm sure, they can catch up on all the very inspiring words that you have just come up with. One thing that really strikes me in what you said is that things are not the same as what they used to be, but we still have maybe our own new set of challenges. And of course, over the next 2 days, I hope that some of it will be addressed through what we have planned. So thank you very much once again for, taking your time out and addressing this gathering. So with that, I would like to, just outline a little bit the workshop agenda. So over the next few minutes, so that tomorrow we can start off with the technical parts without any further delay. So first of all, hello and welcome to WOPI 2022. On behalf of the organizing committee, most of whom are in the first 2 rows of this auditorium, I take this opportunity to welcome you all on to what I would call a unique conference. I have said it, I've kind of coined that it is of the women, for the women, and by the women. And to some extent, I mean, we have actually done it to that level that the organizing committee also consists of this particular gender. So any fault you find is because the male gender did not help us, and anything you find praiseworthy is because we do things better than them. So that is how the spirit will be for the next 2 days, right? So the field of optics and photonics is a booming section of the economy and a major research area in India, and we have a lot of very senior people here who have joined us and who will be telling us about their research over the next 2 days as well. So we have a large number of excellently trained female students in this field, and it continues to grow. We have women leaders in academia as well as industry. However, still in spite of all this, the representation is still not 50%, and so that is what, of course, we would like to address and hopefully change. And this is the first planned workshop, and we are hoping that it succeeds already, and then we can have further editions in different institutes, and that is how this is. So supported by SPIE, Atos Instruments, Laser Spectra Services, and the Raman Research Institute. This 2-day workshop will combine talks from established women in the field, along with leadership and career development activities, as well as provide a forum for face-to-face interactions and networking between leaders in the field and women students, postdoctoral fellows, and early career professionals. So this workshop, Women in Optics and Photonics in India, aims to connect excellent female professionals, which you all are. We have gone through your, submissions for the registration, and we are really excited by all the work that you are doing, in your respective careers, and of course in early stages of careers as well, and link them with established experts in optics and photonics to build a growing community of women pioneers in India and jointly create an environment to develop strategies for personal and professional success. Right. So the Raman Research Institute, as you know, is currently celebrating its Platinum Jubilee through celebrations that will spread across the year with several international conferences. And in fact, we are very glad that the WOPI event is the first event that we are hosting here and involves participants from all over the country and beyond. As the general chair for this conference, I wish all the participants a very productive, invigorating, successful, and fun conference. Let's not forget that aspect. Let's not get too serious about things. Let's not forget that girls like to have fun. So that part we should retain, that spirit we should retain. I want to give you a few logistics going forward. First of all, there is a board outside the auditorium, and that has details of the Wi-Fi login and password, which I think all of us need these days Before we even think about food, we think about Wi-Fi. So you can, figure that out. And the distribution of posters between the 2 days, we have, given the list of participants because we have a very large number. So it's almost equally distributed between the 2 days. There will be special prizes for the posters. Okay. And so good luck with winning those. Yeah. One thing I want to say here, so the posters will be judged not only on scientific quality, which is of course important, but also clarity of presentation, as well as general enthusiasm and enterprise. Okay, so even the very young participants, because we have many from the master's level as well, right, who are presenting posters, maybe for even the first time, some of you must be doing that. You would have an equal opportunity of winning this prize as your more senior presenters, because it is about, being convinced about what you present, and hopefully it is optics. So that would be, good going forward, but then that is how the judging will also be done. Okay, so we have included coupons for all meals with your registration kit. All meals will be taken at what we call the Astro Terrace. We have very nice naming convention at RRI, which you will come across over the next 2 days. So I think we have enough volunteers here who will be able to help you if you get lost, but it's not a very big institute. I think once you find the food today, it will be the same place every meal. So it's easy. So we will head there for today's dinner after this, so you'll know what to do. The conference banquet will take place on the 7th, at the beautiful front lawn of RRI. So I hope, and that is the last event. So, I'm hoping that we'll all have a good time, to sort of end the conference. There are many organizing committee members here as well as local organizing committee members. So you can please feel free to ask them questions, if any. Of course, we are all there, and easily recognizable. So please do that. There is one change in the schedule, which, there is a mistake. So tomorrow's second session, so that one, we have this, where is tomorrow's second session? Yeah, so this one is this 11:30 session. It's called session 2. So the first will be a workshop by Shri Majumdar on navigating professional careers as women in 2022, and the 2 talks which are there, by Alika Khare and Paroma Pal will follow this. So we have to swap this because we had missed that Shri will be leaving, for the airport, so we need to have her session first. So just make that note. But of course, there's not much point because, the hope is that you will attend everything. So it's just for the people on YouTube that they will suddenly see a lawyer instead of an optical sciences person, but so that I think we can handle. So that is one change. And then there's a first aid kit, right, in our council room. So if indeed unfortunately anyone needs it, then we have it. We also have some toffees and cough drops, etc. here. We also have some peer things which are friendly for people who may have sugar issues. So there are sugar-free versions of things also, but I would encourage the students to go for the sugared ones if you don't have that, because we'll get into that later on in life. So I think you can handle that. And then I think these concerned people names are in the abstract book. So we have a list of names in the abstract book and who you can contact for various things. And if nothing works, then you please contact Ms. Savita Deshpande, who has been a pillar of strength. She has been the secretary who has been handling all this. And if that also doesn't work, of course, yours truly is always available to answer every kind of question. So I think, Mehak, is that, have I remembered everything you think in terms of logistics? So then I don't want to keep the people away from the food any longer. So you're going to hand this over, yeah? Yeah. Great. So thank you very much.